When you surrender in war, there's literally a written document of surrender. And in that, they lay out all the things that you have to do by surrendering. Because if I stay the same person that came into the penitentiary, I'm going to have the same results on the way out. All I had to do was work on 10. And I did. Most of them do not fulfill their potential. I am who I wanted to be. I've given back to society, and I'm also a leader.
I'm Michael Hunter with Uncommon Teams, and today we'll uncover fresh insights into what it means to lead today. Joining me is Ken Miller. Ken is a certified fundraising executive, dynamic trainer, speaker, author, and consultant. He helps individuals and organizations harness the power of resilience by reclaiming their identity and gaining strength through adversity. He does this from firsthand experience, moving from homelessness to a successful multi-entrepreneur. He guides leaders and teams through setbacks via speaking, seminars, and small group work, sharing practical insights rooted in courage, compassion, and real-life resilience to inspire hope, growth, and authentic leadership. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. But the key component is when I surrender, means I stop fighting. And not only do I stop fighting, I have to live by your rules because now I've surrendered. When you surrender in war, there's literally a written document. It's a document of surrender. And in that, they lay out all the things that you have to do by surrendering. Okay? Stopping fighting that's just a bellicose. That's just the violence between the two parties. But there's a whole bunch more things that you have to do in the surrender documents. And so I surrendered and I had the document, which means I have to listen to you and I have to take heed. And then I also have to have some courage. But you said you'd be with me. And he has. When you use that pronoun he. But my God has been with me on every single experience that was a challenge. And I've had some challenges in the 20 years since then. We all do as humans. We have challenges.
What helped that seed of hope flourish this time, where all the other times it hadn't been strong enough to help you over that edge to actually surrendering and actually listening?
So it's about addition and subtraction. And what I mean by that, when the seed of hope is there, so you have this small iota of hope. And hope is a picture or an expectation of something positive in the future. That's a hope. But to keep that hope alive, you need to add things, and almost as important, or maybe even more important, you have to subtract things. So I had to subtract who I hung out with. I had to subtract the information I was bringing in. Am I going to kick it with the guys on the prison yard, and talk about dealing drugs, or talk about gang stuff, or talk about, manipulating or pimping women? Am I going to talk about this? Look, that's what I did before. No, I'm not allowed to do it. Then I have to also put additions. So I had to have an addition of going to the counselor on the yard, in the penitentiary. There was counselors for civilians. Yeah, I had to do the addition of getting my health back. I had to do the addition of reading again and getting the brain to work again. I had to do the addition of adding friends that were of value added to me, because I have a small group to work with, because most of the individuals in the penitentiary are not making the decision that I am making. Okay, which is to be a different person when I leave the penitentiary. Because if I stay the same person that came into the penitentiary, I'm going to have the same results on the way out. So that's how I built up hope. That is literally how, by addition and subtraction of literally the external influencers. because these are all external. And then what the external did is it also started to change how I thought inside.
What shifted this time in prison that let you add and subtract those things where in your previous stints and all your experiences outside that hadn't happened?
Yeah, that's a great one. The main one was that conversation with God in jail. So the way it works is you get arrested and then you go to court, and it could be long or short. But the way I did my arrest is I always pled guilty because I was guilty. I knew it. I fight it. And it takes approximately 3 months. Did it 3 times, 90 days to go from jail to prison. Okay. And you go to prison as a convicted felon. You don't go to prison as a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors are done in jail. And that's also where you fight your case or you wait to be sentenced. So I was in about a month and I had the conversation with God. That was the rubric, that was the framework or the foundation for everything else that happened. Now, I didn't know what I had to do, and I pretty made that decision within the next 2 to 3 months as to, because I had to think about it. What do I need to do to be different, to change? And it's just life, but I had to change those 4 things. Because physically, I was a wreck. Intellectually, I would read 1 paragraph from a book, and I could not tell you what the first sentence said. Literally, because my brain couldn't even remember intellectually 1 paragraph. Okay? So I read a lot. And then emotionally, I went to counseling. Spiritually, I went to I tried a bunch of different religions while I was in there. I had 3 years to do all these. And then, like I said, I changed my, people, places, and things within the parameters I could. Because again, I couldn't, walk out to prison and go to, an AA meeting or something like that. So I had to do what I could within but I'm telling you, in a lot of ways, and I tell this all the time, I speak about this, prison was the best thing for where I was at. I didn't have to worry about the rent. I didn't have to worry about going shopping for food. I didn't have to worry about my relationship with a loved one. I didn't have to worry about any of that. I didn't have to worry about cutting the grass. So all I had to do, and if you allow yourself, all I had to do was work on chanting. And I did.
I appreciate you letting me ask this question over and over and over because many of the people I talk with, leaders I work with, they're in a similar place where they have a change to make or they have a change they can make. And it's scary. And understanding what helps you in your even more extreme and even more momentous decision change to decide that this time I'm making that shift helps all the rest of us who are in just as scary, just as momentous, even if it may not seem that way, changes can help us find that key, that mustard seed of hope that will help us make that shift as well.
I agree. I mean, I'm not special, but I am special. If you so believe, I'm a child of God. I'm a unique child of God. My story is unique. My experience is unique. But everybody who's listening to this and will listen to it, your story is unique. Your experience is unique. Embrace it. Sing your song. I say this all the time. Sing your song. I don't sing country western. I sing my song. If I was to take my story and give it a flavor, it would probably be soul and heavy metal. Okay, different ones. Depending on where I was and at that point, maybe some doom rock. Okay, but we talk about uncommon leadership, and I'm not common. I didn't give up. That's the easy way to do it. is to give in to the challenge or the concern. It's to not be resilient. It's to not bounce back. It's to be lazy. It's to be fearful. It's to be uncompromising. It's to be unteachable. That's the easy way. That's the common way. Most of us, and this is just my opinion, do not fulfill their potential, their internal potential. I'm not talking about the potential that your mother put on you, or your father, or your siblings, or your loved one, or your wife, your husband, whoever. I'm talking about your internal potential. We don't fulfill that. I fulfill the great majority of my potential. I am who I wanted to be. I'm 62. I'm happy with Ken. I've done some incredible things. I've given back to society. And I'm also a leader. And what I mean by that, I lead others. I lead my family. Well, I co-lead with my wife, my family, but I lead my employees. I lead my contractors. I lead the men that I mentor. I lead the people that I coach. I lead my clients, because these are external people.